Yeah.
Thank you again for joining our podcast and coming back on the show this week. Um,
Yes,
Today is going
ma'am.
to be a little
Yeah.
bit of different. We're going to have like some controversial topics that people may want to hear or may not want to hear, but it's up to them. So you told me you wanted to bring out a few topics, so I'm gonna let you lead.
All right. So the first topic that I was wanting to touch on that I always sleep on the thought of it
Mhm.
is the current state of like people whenever it comes into like relationships and
Hmm.
how nowadays they're more superficial instead of beneficial to the individuals. That
Hmm.
instead of this man wanting this woman for all the right reasons, he wanted her for all the wrong reasons, such as, she got a pretty face, nice
Hmm.
body, all that's going to go away in, 20, 30, 40 years, you know,
You're
it,
counting
it,
them
it
down already.
man, it ain't going to be there, just natural, genetics. Some people get
Hmm.
surgery,
That's
some
true.
people, do skincare, they still
Mhm.
use chemicals,
That's true.
because everybody dry up like a raisin someday.
So you saying it's superficial? I think it's
Yeah.
still genuine love out there with people. I don't think everything is superficial.
How many stories have you seen where, a man and a woman came together and, it was love at first sight or, something deeper than, just the skin?
Mm. Well, I have heard people say that they have had love at first sight. I've even heard of people get married, within a week of knowing a person. So, I mean, it's not a lie, but I guess it does happen. What you
Oh
talking?
man,
You talking about great majority?
I haven't heard about that one. Maybe in my younger years I done heard about that, but nowadays with the newer generations
Mm-hmm.
influencing even the older people,
Mm-hmm.
that's like, man, I got an uncle that I swear he think that he's still in his 20s and 30s.
Yeah, I mean the newer generation, I do see like when I see like older YouTubers per se or whatever, content creators I should say, they do like mimic the like young people dress code, how they talk, the wordings they use, everything is just like mimicked from younger, not like growing into your season as a person.
Yeah, and then with like, the older people wanting to date the younger people, even though they've still been around. But it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, what's wrong with somebody around, your age? I think it was Charleston White who even,
Mm-hmm.
mentioned it one time. Instead of, getting, somebody young, get
Mm-hmm.
somebody that's around your age that knows the sign of a heart attack.
Oh wow.
Yeah, get, somebody like that. But then for like the younger crowd,
I mean,
it's it's
Charleston
more.
White also like to have side pieces that's younger, way younger. So what is he talking about? He's contradicting himself with that.
Now, where I'll go with that, I'll just take the narrative of that.
Okay.
Like age, like love does not have an age.
Mm-hmm.
True,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still one of those type of things of stay in your own age group, your own lane. Stop
Mm-hmm.
trying to be like the younger crowd because the younger girl isn't getting with that older guy for love.
Right.
It
It's
should
I
basically
feel
be
like
like
it's for benefit. I mean, wouldn't you want to get with somebody that's older than you for some type of benefit?
I mean, that's using a person, well, misusing a person, should I say,
Misusing.
because everybody's meant to be used,
Mm-hmm.
but misusing is the thing.
Is the problem, yeah.
Because now whenever you start misusing people and that starts happening over time and over
Mm-hmm.
time, people never heal from that.
That's true.
Things
Mm-hmm.
can happen 15 years ago from this current date, and you still haven't healed from them.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying for me, for you, for me, you. That's just saying everybody in general.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has situations that they haven't healed from.
Right.
Take the average man, right? He's done been betrayed and all this by so many different people, and then at the end of the day, he, his bottom bitch says, I'll call her, his bottom one.
Mm-hmm.
He thought that she was gonna be around forever, but she went and jumped ship on him.
I
That hits a little.
personally, I'm
That hits
sorry, go ahead.
different.
But I personally feel like the average man, here's the thing. So I made a previous episode I believe 19, that was talking about cheating. I feel like men are so unforgiving when it comes to cheating, but they want women to forgive them and be there for them and understand why they cheated. Like, to me, there's no understanding, because my thing is, if you gonna cheat, like, you big enough to take a, pass a lick, you big enough to take a lick. So if you gonna cheat, you must want to be cheated on. Like, that's how I
But
feel.
then that'll be separating, the different categories.
What's the
Because
category?
you can't call a nigga a man. Just because he got
Well,
dick and balls don't mean that he's a man.
that's true.
Just because he could give you a baby doesn't mean that he's gonna be a father to that baby.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of sperm donors out here. So whenever looking at it, like every day, I hear females say, "Oh, I want a real nigga."
Mm-hmm.
Never do I hear a female say they want a real man.
So you think, I don't think that they're literally saying a nigga. I think they just relating him to a man. Do you think the words that you use is like it has a psychological effect?
Because whenever you say a nigga does not describe a man.
What describes a man to you?
What the characteristics of a man, one that, not only provides for his household, but takes care of his family as well. A man that's reliable, a man that's not lazy, a man that, will go out and make an honest living, that won't tear down his community. That
Mm-hmm.
if he sees somebody around him, vibrating a little bit low, he gonna try to, uplift them in a positive manner, instead of, one of those, a chunk your armor back on and chunk your chin to the sky. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna give them positive affirmations and see, like, hey, what's the real problem, and give them words of wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Because the older that a male would get, if he doesn't gain wisdom, he's just a fool. And a fool
Mm-hmm.
is still a nigga. Because look at how many people that are in their 40s and 50s that never
Mm-hmm.
grew up.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody wants to call them a man.
Mm-hmm.
Because the description of a man to each generation is something different.
Mm-hmm. I
So
think
for
that also
generations
goes
older than
culturally
us.
too.
And so nowadays, be like, hey, you the man of the house or something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Always because of financial shit.
Mm-hmm.
But you can have all of that. But a man is supposed to lead. You can't lead without wisdom.
Mm-hmm. I think that goes culturally too, because for me, in Hispanic culture, they believe in fully taking care of their woman, versus black males or white males. They always want to do 50-50 or half and half. And this is why I believe that Hispanic women mostly stay in their culture, because when they get with another race man, if he not doing what a Hispanic man will do, it's kind of like, yeah, I'm settling at this point, because I got this man over here that's paying for everything, my hair, everything that's going on in this household, and me. Versus I get with this man, yeah, his sex is good, but he wants me to go 50-50. I mean, which one would you choose? Like, I think culturally, a man is different. That's what I'm saying, is a man is different per culture, because for me, I do like the aspect of Hispanic men that do take care of their woman, versus American men. They just have this, even Indian men, they take care of their woman, versus Americans. They're just like, well, no, we got to go half and half everything. Like, okay. So to me, I don't know. I don't know. I guess it's preference on what you like and what you want to be done to
But
you
that
with as
also
a woman.
creates a lazy female.
Mm-hmm. You think
Now,
so? Because they
what
believe that if you having kids for them and all that, you stay at home, you cook, you clean, you do all the stuff that's at home, and they go out and work.
but now also still with the same equivalent, either parent, male, female, either one can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is some stay at home, fathers,
Yes, it
and
is.
women go out there and make, the money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that,
Mm-hmm.
but it should be still a partnership,
Yeah. I think
especially
it's
if
about
somebody
having
thinks
an
about marrying your
understanding.
wife.
I just think American men just have a way of thinking that, I believe American, not just men, just the women too, but I just believe that America in general has misconstrued everything, where stuff is just done so backwards. And American men, talking about back what I was talking about, they just have a concept that just doesn't really. work. This is why they keep running into high rates of divorce and all this other stuff. And not saying that this all on the man. Of course, women have parts in it too. But I'm saying the things that we do in America, it's not working. This is why people are not getting married. This is why people are getting divorces. They don't have a value in a system. It's just like, oh, well, I feel like doing this. I feel like doing that. It's no structure at all.
But majority of American women are not submissive. Because if you look in other cultures,
Mm-hmm.
even to their religions, women
Mm-hmm.
are supposed to be submissive. Whatever the man says, that is law.
Right.
So if he says you are not to go out tonight, you're to stay at
Mm-hmm.
home, cook, clean, do the laundry. Whenever I get in, I need a hot meal ready. Go ahead and have my towel, my drawers, my pajamas, all that ready for me. That is what you're supposed to do. Now, you look in the current state of women, it's more masculine, dominant women
Mm-hmm.
than it is submissive women. So culturally, American women aren't ready for that. Now, take like, Spanish women, they were raised that way.
Right.
But look at how American women are raised.
Mm-hmm.
It's two complete, different kind of
And look
categories.
at what they see, especially as African American women. Look at what they see. They're not seeing too much of a two-parent household. They're barely seeing their mom.
That
So,
right there does have a role to play in it too, because I came across this woman to where she says she'll rather work three jobs than to be at the house with her kids.
oh, I mean, kids do be off the chain. I'm not gonna lie, their behavior be
Now
something.
take that into consideration though.
Yeah.
Like you must not really like your kids. You must have had your kids just to,
For
be
other
on the
purposes, thinking they would keep that man probably.
Yeah, now I will say on one half, now if a woman was raped or whatever, Melissa or whatever like that, and a baby came out of it, it was not in, her consent. And if she has
Mm-hmm.
some resentment towards the child, I can't blame her for not
Right.
really wanting to be there because her choice was taken away.
I understand that.
Now, granted, she went out there, she was being promiscuous and all this and that, opening up her legs to the whole neighborhood. And now she's just popping out kids left and right,
Right.
every other year. Just because she
Mm-hmm.
got with this dude, he said that he loved her. All
Mm-hmm.
right. Sometimes, that's all it takes, for all that to happen. A deadbeat dude, just tell the female, hey, I love you, but she's never felt love from maybe her father or any male
Mm-hmm.
in her family. She may have not have had that, that male figure guidance. And so she doesn't really know what love is
But I want
because
to. Mm-hmm.
a mother could love her daughter, but it's going to feel different coming from a male being there to
Most
protect you,
definitely.
being there to pick you up every time that you fall, to give you the kind of love and support that you need.
To guide you when it
To
comes to
show you
dating, what type of guys to look for and not go for, what to settle for.
exactly. And majority of our African American women don't know what that is because their fathers left. Because some of them, in my honest belief, they didn't want to deal with the mother. So if you're gonna look all the way back, you got to look at what happened between the parents to where he wasn't there. And what?
Or, or
Yeah.
I want to piggyback off something else, but go back to that. You said that they're submissive in other cultures.
Yes.
They're brought up that way. So you can't blame the product of a situation when they've been dealt certain hands. In other countries, the man steps into a role of being dominant, which domination don't come with just controlling a woman's mind, body, and spirit. It comes with you taking care of everything in a household. You're not saying, oh, we got to split, because now in a woman's mind, which is how America is now, in a woman's mind, it's more so like you're not gonna be telling me what to do if I gotta pay like you gotta pay. Like this is an equal thing now because you want me to split, then you don't want to be all the way dominant then.
And that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be equal.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be a balance. The male is
Mm,
not supposed to be over the female, and the female is not supposed to be
that's
over the.
true. Right.
But even though we don't even follow the teachings of our ancestors, and
No,
not
we
even
don't.
scripturally, most females want the man to take care of everything, but that's
Right.
not how it was designed. It
Mm,
said a husband.
mm.
A husband,
So
and
they use Bible
that,
for what they want to use it for, basically.
well, even before it was a such thing as the Bible, those were the teachings. A husband is supposed to provide. Just because I'm your man doesn't mean that I gotta provide for you. Because the
Okay.
same way as I'm your man, in 6 months we break up, you're gonna have another man.
Hmm.
And the cycle keeps continuing.
So you're trying
So
to say
your
it's not
man's
really
supposed to take care
sacred.
of you.
It's not really a sacred thing if you're just courting the person.
Exactly. Nothing is sacred no more because the bond between a man and a woman, that shit is really sacred. But people have perverted that
Mm.
and try to use that to their better benefit. Oh, you my man. Oh, you gotta take care of me. Oh, you my woman. You're supposed to do this for me. No, even
You're
the
supposed
male
to
don't
cook,
have one.
do this, do that, do that. Where they get here's the thing. That's why I say there's no structure. Where is all these ideologies that these people that you're dating? First of all, let's go to the point of the Bible. I never seen in the Bible where Adam and Eve was married. Let's just put that on the table. So where's the
There wasn't a thing.
ideology of marriage in the first place? Second of all, where's the ideology that America is coming up with that this is the male's role, this is the female's role? Like there's a yin and a yang for a reason. There's a balances for a reason. You know, if anything is out of balance, you can't have too much acid, you cannot have too much, you know, sweets. You got to have like a balance in your body. So if that's the case, then you have to have that same balance within a union with somebody, whether it's a boyfriend, a girlfriend, whatever, you know. And so where do you think that those things come from where people feel like, well, you as a woman, you supposed to be cleaning the house, you supposed to be doing this, okay, but you're capable of cleaning too. I'm not here to clean behind you, you know. So it's like, where do people get these
Exactly.
from?
It's done been times whenever the average black woman done got mad at me because I'm like, I really don't need you because everything of what I can ask you to do, I can do it myself.
Right.
I could do my house myself. I could do my own laundry. You know, I could do my own grocery shopping. I can do all of these things of what I would ask you to do. So, what are you bringing to the table yourself outside of your body, outside of your money? What are you actually bringing to the table? Now, when you ask the average person, what are you actually bringing to the table?
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to answer that because they really don't offer nothing besides maybe a fun time, wasting your time, you know, maybe some fire ass sex, you know, all these things that
How long
create,
does that last?
you
um,
know, I mean, depending on the people. Now, that's where you also get toxic, you know, relationships. And whenever I feel it comes into that, is whenever you refuse to let go, that you're so wrapped up in the moment that you're not really paying attention to the damage of what it's actually doing to you.
mm-hmm,
So when these so-called men, these so-called women, these so-called kings and queens
mm-hmm.
are doing this, they're really doing it all out of vain because these men, these males, they don't know what a king is
Right.
or the role of a king. And these so-called females want to be a woman and a queen, don't
I
know
think
their roles.
I think what we do in America as a whole, we take all these ideas and ways of living from other countries because we hear about it, we read about it, and whatever, and we try to incorporate it halfway, just like the people try to incorporate the Bible how they want to incorporate it. I think we incorporate different parts of the world, like we might incorporate how Indian people run their relationship or whatever, right? But
True.
we're halfway doing it. We're not doing it all the way like that. We're doing how we, you know, a part we're taking from it and trying to use it and say, well, this is how women's supposed to do. This is how men's supposed to do. But here's the thing. Most Americans, we don't really have a structured culture. There's no
I
culturalistic
tell people all the
structure.
time, when they came over here and took everything, they did not have a plan. So everything over here is always called a melting pot. America is
Mm-hmm.
a melting pot, and it's also a corporation. So since America has no culture of its own,
Mm-hmm.
it's up for grabs. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. But now, whenever you talk about all these other things, and
Mm-hmm.
another thing, the music and the media influences the minds of people. So with putting that also into play, with how you have the modern day female rappers, the
Mm-hmm.
modern day trap rappers, right? You get those two right there. All right, yeah, it's gonna be some fine tunes, but they're pushing out an agenda, which is creating separation
Mm.
because you can't always have a dominant male and a dominant female because where's
It
the
has to
feminine
be
energy at
balanced.
in all of that? That's
Um,
like a male with no feminine energy, in my opinion,
he's
to any female.
he's headed to destruction.
Yeah, he's just gonna destroy you, use you for whatever he could
And
use you for,
himself.
and then move on.
And
And
himself, because ultimately when you
mhm,
get done doing that, you really hurting you because you ran through all these different souls, you done gained all these soul ties. Every time you have a intimacy with someone, you are bringing their soul with you in a way. People don't think about that spiritually, so you wonder why. Damn, why am I having all this bad karma? Why is this going on in my life? Why is this showing up? I mean, 6 months ago, you just had intercourse with this person that had demons on them. But you didn't think
mhm.
about that. You just thought about for that moment, like, okay, I'm finna just hit and dip. But you just brought some demons which you don't even know about.
Ooh, and then playing off of that one right there. Now, some people don't take the healing process. I could say with my own testimony through my younger years,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't take the healing process, serious. I'll go from this chick, all right, things didn't work out. All right, boom. I go with this chick, didn't work out. And they'll just, go like that, mainly on trial runs. But listening to their stories and playing them back in my head, nowadays, that other female that I went to was a band-aid to
Mm-hmm.
cover up the wound that I had from the last chick. And it
Mm-hmm.
just went like that. Now people cover up things in, multiple kind of ways,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
via it may be cars, clothes, shoes, jewelry, women, alcohol, liquor, other substances, keeping themselves too damn busy to where they're not able to properly heal. Like you just went from working at a fast food joint to now you're working into the oil field. You just got your heart broken. Now you're about to go do 100 hours plus a week. Where
Mm-hmm.
do you actually have time for
Especially
yourself?
you're not really facing what you're going through. You're trying to avoid it at all costs.
Exactly.
So no matter how long you wait to try to get with someone else, you're still going to be carrying that baggage because you never dealt with the problem to begin with. You just avoided it.
Exactly that part right there. And then whenever, people are in these quote unquote healing processes, they do a little bit of soul searching and see something from another culture. And now they want that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they want to incorporate that into the next one, trying to do everything in vain because different people's healing processes is different, like how I just stated. So when people do look at other shit and look at what everybody else has, it is also a level of envy because I look at other people's culture and I'd be like, that is a happy family right there. But for me, it motivates me to where it's like, all right, maybe if I fix, and tweak a couple things, here and there, maybe, just maybe, I'll align myself with what I actually truly want because the universe will give you what your heart truly desires. But you have to align yourself and heal. But also, a lot of people don't heal during the process. They just move on, cover things up. They don't know how to be themselves and align themselves with what they really want. So, whenever we come down to, like I said, what a woman role is, what a man role is, a lot of in this generation they'll never know because they're blinded.
And I can say you mentioned some about music earlier. Um, I noticed something that I've been observing like for the past year because I've been becoming more like spiritually aware, awakened, having more discernment spirit. And I noticed that the music that is made, like rap, is literally made for Black people. And it's made to destroy Black people because other cultures, let's just say, I'm going to go back to my Indians because I love them, but they don't listen to rap. They listen to music with instruments and beats and stuff like that. They don't listen to anything that can influence their mind to vibrate low. Now you have some Caucasian people that's doing it nowadays, some Hispanics that's doing it, but even Hispanics, I believe that they're so highly loving and compassionate and sexual is because if you listen to their music, like translate their music, a lot of their music is love stuff about loving and heartbreaks and just really being into the woman, especially the men. Like they're always making songs about loving on their woman. And so culturally, you're right, music does have a big influence on people's mind because if I'm listening to F this D and she just this and that, of course I'm gonna think like that as a young man being influenced, of course.
And then
Like
it doesn't help if that person actually experiences a heartbreak from their first love.
that is so true. Oh my God, say that. It
Because
don't
say
help.
like you go through a heartbreak, what's one of the first things that you go to doing? You're listening to music. So you're listening
Mm,
to vibration, you're listening to the words, and that's just
mhm,
resonating inside of you. All right,
mhm,
so boom, you're not, doing no deep soul searching on where did you go wrong to where it affected her to where she went wrong, and you're not, processing none of it.
mhm,
So during that heartbreak, you're just resonating with things that fits your situation. And that may be rap music, it may be R&B music, it might be a little bit
Not
of country
seeing
music.
how that's really destroying you ultimately. It's not helping
Yeah,
your mental to progress, to learn how to work through your emotions. It's really just keeping you more in that place of emotions.
exactly. Because when, say, like for a sad person is really going to listen to sad music that relates to them.
Juice World,
Now, that's going to keep them just stuck and fucked, honestly.
vibrating low, vibrating low.
And instead of going within, they're seeking outside validations for why they feel the way of how they feel. Now, going back to the beginning of it, all right, so people don't know how to love each other properly because they were never shown how to love
Mm-hmm.
each other properly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I could say, yeah, true. My father might have been, a player, you know, but I ain't gonna ever say it was for the right reasons or the wrong reasons. But he always made a way to provide not only for me, but for my mother as well and for the bills. Even though he had a sideline, he only had one sideline of my knowledge that I knew from my childhood to my adulthood. And he would always get everything from her, but he's always providing. I never seen that man go without.
Mm.
And if it was a down moment, he was like, watch this. I'm gonna pull a rabbit out of my ass.
So you think it's okay to be a player since that's in your bloodline?
No, I don't always think that it's all right to be a player
So
because
why
that
you smiling then? It seems like you think that that's where it's at, baby, because you smiling at
because that,
me.
that comes with its own consequences, and you got to be able to bear those consequences. Now, if you're willing to bear those consequences, all right, I salute you because you got a lot of karmic debt to pay.
So how much
And
at a time
whenever
have you broke a female for?
ten
See, this is
10,000
so fucking ridiculous.
bands here, 5 bands here,
How much?
4 bands, like 10 bands a couple times, 7 bands a couple times. Recently, what, um, I think like six, almost 7 bands.
Listen to, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, come on
And
now.
so
But you
I
talking
already
about
know
culturally, you think that's okay?
because for me personally, I don't find love in people.
So what you
I
find
don't, I
love in
don't
animals?
I find love in animals because I've never had an animal that betrayed me.
That's true. I
But a
I can
human,
definitely agree with that.
but a human has betrayed me, misused me for my money, cheated on me, lied to me,
But you
deceived me.
just broke females for that much money. You didn't.
So whenever it's a tit for a tat, yeah, I done paid my debt and I done dealt with
Okay.
it.
I'm
You
gonna
know,
tell you one thing about animals. Animals and humans. Like I told you before, I've never felt like an animal felt like but you didn't have to do it. But you do some shit for a human being, they'll tell you, well, I didn't ask you to do that. You didn't have to do it like that. Like you ungrateful as fuck.
It's
An
like a
animal,
level,
you do
it's
something for
like
an
a level
animal,
of
they'll
gratitude.
always show their loyalty to you.
It's a level of gratitude of,
Mm-hmm.
if humans had that same gratitude, I think we would honestly be in a different place. Like, hey, I do something for you. You show me your gratitude. All right, I
Mm-hmm.
do something for an animal. That animal is going to stick with me until I have to put it into the ground myself.
That's
It's
true.
going to stay there with me through
Mm-hmm.
thick, thin. Now, how many times have you really been there with a person and they done stuck there with you through thick and thin? No matter if you had a couple of thousand in your bank account, or if all you had was $2 waiting to get your next $200. How many people is
Outside of my
really,
parents, I would say I had that with one person.
yeah, like I've had that maybe um
I
with
had
my
it
first
semi with
baby
my
mom.
first love, semi with him, but it's like like
Yeah,
time
it's
never allowed us to be together, like in the same space at the same time.
yeah, it's like when going from that, yeah, that was my actual first, heartbreak. I
Hmm.
didn't want to let go, so I created a forever soul tie that
Hmm.
it has to be paid,
Hmm.
but it's not time to pay it up yet.
So what's the pay? What would be a payment for something like if you make a soul tie with the devil?
I gave up a portion of my soul just to never lose what I love, and just
Hmm.
the life itself. It's just showing me, all right, I need to fix myself in order to truly have this woman. So
Hmm.
until I'm at the place of where I need to be, I will never have this woman.
Hmm.
And I need to get to that place so that I can have that woman that is perfectly my piece. I didn't have substitutes. I didn't have band-aid effects. I didn't had all of this. So whenever having all of that, every woman has shown me flaws inside of myself.
Mm. That
So
well, could you think of it like this? Everything that you've been through with other people maybe is healing you and preparing you for that woman that you made that soul tie for.
yes, and that's
Because if
exactly.
you hadn't went through all of those things, maybe that woman you will damage her because you haven't went through certain things. So you probably would experience it with her and create issues. Whereas if you went through those things with all these women, now that woman that you've been waiting on, you've already been through all the bull crap. So now you can just be fully prepared for her.
Exactly, because with my first love, I never financially broke her. I broke her mentally and emotionally, to where it's like, yeah, you know the rawness of me because you've seen it from the front door,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and now you're just walking through the building,
Right.
through each floor,
Mm-hmm.
as it's getting built before the walls get put up and
Right.
everything like that. So with
Mm-hmm.
how I would look at it, yeah. So going from an early age to the age that I am now, I don't went through different chapters with different people, and different things was instilled that was not there beforehand.
Right. Yeah.
Because if I look at who I am right now, currently,
Mm-hmm.
going back 16 years, the person who I am now would despise that person, and vice
Yeah.
versa.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That person that I was at that current time,
You could pay you to be this person, huh?
you couldn't pay me at all to do this. Just to even
Hmm.
open up a door for a woman, it's like, hey, you got two hands.
Wow. I mean, you that type of.
Like you got two hands just like I got them. Hey, we all got 10 phalanges.
So
Hey,
you were okay if you walking in the door at a restaurant, you will stand there and wait till she opened the door.
be like, hey, you was there first.
Oh my goodness, that is so real.
Be like, hey, go ahead and open that door for me, because hey, I'm right after you. I'm not opening up that door for you.
Oh my goodness. But you're not like that now,
I'm not like that now, to where a little bit of chivalry was instilled.
huh?
Now some
Okay.
of this
Over
came from,
time, right?
yes, over time, different relationships, watching
Hmm.
how my father treated my mother, and the different little things of what he did, and with observing the world
Hmm.
and
So he
observing
had
women.
chivalry with your mom?
Yes,
Oh,
he did.
really?
They was into arguments here and there. He never put his hands on my mother. He never did none of that other side shit. He just did what
Mm-hmm.
he had to do to provide. Because
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, he gave up his college scholarships just to
Wow.
make instant money. He could have went to the NFL. He could have went to the NBA. One or the other. He had a full ride scholarship and gave
Mm-hmm.
both of them up just to
Wow.
live the way he lived. Now I
Mm-hmm.
always try to look into the story of that of why, but
Mm-hmm.
he never told me completely why. Besides, he was in a position. He needed a car. He needed, money. So college wasn't, paying
It
or
wasn't
any.
kind of an option at that time
Yeah,
due to
and he
financials.
financially it wasn't, appropriate. Now I could have
Mm-hmm.
came out, a different person if he would have chose that because I still would have
Or
came from
maybe
him.
you wouldn't have been this, you wouldn't be in this body because one event changes everything.
Exactly like that. And
Mm-hmm.
now with right there, what you just said, for everybody, it took one event to change their whole
Mm-hmm.
life into who they are. But we're so knee deep into the shit of what we are nowadays
Mm-hmm.
that it's gonna take a lot just to get us out of it. Only
Mm-hmm.
solely because like we done been in it so long.
Mm-hmm. I feel you.
Whenever we do look at that as men and women, we're slightly fucked. The only
Mm.
reason why I say that is because nowadays you really got to go based off of a person's personality. You can't go off of how they look because
Mm-hmm.
man, I remember one time it was a damn near a 400-pound woman that tried to mistreat me, and I'm like,
Are
hold
you
on,
serious?
yeah,
Did she
she
try to mistreat you?
like man, she tried to mistreat me, and I'm like, one of my favorite things, hey, you ain't a baddie, you a fatty. Hey, learn
Oh,
your
you don't say.
and I don't got nothing against plus size women, but whenever you big with an attitude, no, you can't be big with an attitude, just like you can't look like a shoestring with an attitude.
That's true.
Be like, I'll put the band on and watch you blow away.
That's true.
So it's one of those, type of things
So
right
you
there.
think that there is a certain attitude that you can have when you're a certain weight?
Yes, you gotta be humble. And I know a lot of people
Mm,
don't know what being humble is because they let the ego lead. And that's what we see
mm,
all across the world. It doesn't
mm,
matter where it is.
mm,
Ego leads. Now, for the people who are humble, you see how they act.
mm,
They don't need a lot. They just need the simple things in life, which a
mm,
lot of people don't like simple things in life.
mm.